lot of people see comics as, they see it as something for kids or for 30-year-old men in their mother's basements. So, and obviously I'm not either one of those. You know, I'm a 24-year-old woman who loves reading comics. You know, I love drawing, I love writing. I know the first thing I ever wanted to do was to write and draw my own stories. A lot of my friends who are artists who also work for Tokyopop are female. And this is something that just in the past 5 or 6 years, there's just been this incredible rush of women in the comics industry, because many of them were brought in by Japanese comics, which offer more than superhero comics. And they tend to appeal to a lot of women as well. Comics are a very holistic experience. You know, you use the right side of your brain to interpret the images and the emotions. You use the left side of your brain to interpret the words, the language. It's kind of like, it's a lot like watching a movie. And as far as creating it, it's a lot like directing a movie or directing a film. Because, you know, I'm doing, you know, I have to write the script, have to create the characters. Thankfully, I don't have to mess with any actors. The people in Steadybeat are very real. I start out the book with intentionally almost cliche characters. You know, you have sort of the stereotypical family with, you know, you have the older sister who's always beating on the little sister, but they still love each other, and the mom who's kind of overbearing. But kind of the purpose is to show that people change. You know, it's about how the characters develop in life. And you don't see that in a lot of superhero comics and a lot of American comics. Most things, you know, Batman, Superman, they're very plot-driven. The characters never grow old, they never get married, or if they do, you know, the person dies and, you know, they start all over again. They always go back to square one. The usual saying goes, a picture's worth 1,000 words. So I tend to tell more through the stories, and I actually really like visual puns. One of the things that is kind of ongoing through Steadybeat is you see a white elephant in the room. So every time something uncomfortable comes up that everybody knows about, but nobody wants to talk about, there's an elephant somewhere in the room. And sometimes it's very obvious, and sometimes it's very minuscule, like on somebody's keychain hooked to their pants. So it's fun. I love adding in those little things. I practice daily. I keep a sketch pad, you know, I doodle in it, I draw on it, even if it's crappy. It's the kind of stuff I'd probably never even show anybody. But you gotta keep on practicing. There's so many different aspects. You know, once I learned one thing, I realized, oh, there's this whole other area that I've been neglecting, you know, lettering, ballooning, sound effects. How do you portray that in images? And that's, you know, it's constantly challenging, you know, my mental capacity and my intellect and also my creativity. I don't think I would do this if it was just for the drawing or the writing. Because I like drawing and I like writing, but at times it can be a real pain in the ass. And the reward for me is that, you know, someday people will pick this up. And I'm hoping, you know, with Steadybeat that, you know, a teenage girl will pick this up and say, hey, you know, I've been through this. Or she'll look at it and say, I haven't been through this, but I can sympathize with the characters. I want people to be able to experience the characters and live their lives. It's fun, living the dream, even though I don't make much money.
Become a Docublogger. Log on to Docubloggers.org to share your opinions and story ideas, or get out your camera and create your own Docublog.